On the next Uri Man Show, we're going to be joined by Maddy McCarty, the head commercial real estate journalist for Bisnow. We're going to learn all about commercial real estate in Houston, which asset classes are improving, who wants to buy what, and where you should buy commercial real estate in Houston, Texas. Join us on the Uri Man Show. Welcome to the Uri Man Show. I'm joined by Maddy McCarty, who is the expert journalist covering commercial real estate and land development for Bisnow. Maddy, thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
So what is Bisnow actually? A lot of people think of it as the business magazine.
Yes, Bisnow exclusively covers commercial real estate for the commercial real estate industry. And the name Bisnow actually comes from the last name of our founder.
Oh, the founder's last name is Bisnow?
That's right.
Wow, because that works kind of hand in hand. A lot of people think about this magazine online as the expert in local business. And it just happens to be his last name is Bisnow.
It's a really good name.
It is a good name. So how many conferences does Bisnow do in Texas or Houston every year?
So Bisnow has about an event a month in Houston. Sometimes there's two. It just depends. But yeah, so usually about 12 a year in Houston, and that's true of like all of our markets. We do events in Dallas and Austin and nationally and internationally as well.
So industry leaders from all types of commercial real estate come to these conferences to network, to learn about, new things happening in their industry?
That's right. So a lot of the conferences focus on different asset classes. For instance, the conference that we had you speak at recently focused on master plan communities, and that applies to developers of master plan communities. Sometimes they'll focus on the office asset class or multifamily or healthcare, and just a lot of the different things that apply in Houston.
And how long have you been a writer for Bisnow?
I've been with Bisnow about 1.5 years now.
And what do you cover? What topics?
Any commercial real estate in Houston, and I work on some national stories as well.
So since you're an expert in commercial real estate, people want to know, what do you think is happening in commercial real estate today in Houston? What asset classes are people trying to buy, or what's looking good and what's looking bad?
Yeah, so I wouldn't call myself an expert yet. I'm still learning. I have learned a lot in my 1.5 years, but I came into this brand new in commercial real estate, and it was a really interesting time for that, obviously, because we've seen office become less popular since the pandemic. But when I've come in, industrial has really been like the darling in Houston because of e-commerce and the growth of the port. So sure, industrial is doing really well, but that is starting to slow a bit as there's been a lot of industrial deliveries and the demand has fallen off. So if you need industrial space in Houston right now, there's plenty. Multifamily has been interesting to watch because a lot of people believe in it. Obviously, people always need somewhere to live, but a lot of people bought multifamily assets when interest rates were really low in like 2021, and they got floating rate loans. So we're seeing a lot of foreclosures of multifamily right now, but that does also provide opportunity to, well-capitalized investors who can get those assets for cheaper and maybe turn them around.
So there's opportunities now, you think, to buy multifamily potentially at discounts to what they were selling before?
Yes, there definitely will be. There's always, for pretty much every foreclosure auction, they happen monthly. There's been some major multifamily assets at each one of them for the past year. So
one of the articles that you recently wrote, which thank you for covering it, is about the new Sports Illustrated resort coming to Lago Mar. Why did you decide to cover the story, and what did you think that was interesting about this new hotel coming to the lagoon?
Yeah, so I mean, like you said, Sports Illustrated is a very recognizable brand. I think everyone's heard of it for one reason or another. So for the Houston area to be getting a Sports Illustrated resort, first of all, Houston doesn't have that many resorts, especially name brand recognizable resorts. So I thought that was really interesting. Wanted to know especially why they chose this area kind of outside of Houston for it, and how it ties in with the lagoon and everything. So we got to talk about that.
Right. We'll make sure to put a link to your story in the YouTube description below. So it's great coverage, and we've actually received some national coverage because this is the first ever Sports Illustrated resort to come to Texas. And it'll be very engaging for the community because the hotel will provide awards for middle school students, high school students, college students, they all have the opportunity to be nominated for Sports Illustrated Athlete of the Year Award.
Oh, wow.
And that brings the families to the hotel to receive the awards. And it's really a place, it becomes kind of like an athletic, sports-oriented clubhouse for the entire community. So we're excited about it. What other kind of stories are you working on right now for the Houston market and commercial real estate?
Yeah, so as I reported in that resort story, there are other resorts coming to the Houston area as well. There's going to be a Margaritaville in Galveston and a Great Wolf Lodge also nearby Texas City and Webster, I believe. And I just think that's great because I also grew up in the suburbs of Houston in Cypress, and there's stuff to do, but not so much family vacation style things to do. So
tourism is coming to Houston now.
Yeah, I think that's really exciting, and I'm excited to watch out for more. But other things I'm working on right now, we're looking at office vacancy across Houston and all of the major metros in Texas. Looking into why, you know, Houston actually has the highest office vacancy of all major metros in the U.S.
Is that right? I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's important to contextualize because
the highest vacancy of any metro area in the United States?
Of large metros. That's right. So, but it's really because Houston has a lot of supply, and a lot of that supply is older. They call them like vintage from 70s, 80s buildings. So that's where most of Houston's office vacancy is concentrated because people want to be in the newer, nicer buildings. So these new buildings that they're building are doing great and leasing up, but that just leaves, you know, some other buildings behind. And the question is, what's going to happen? Are we going to convert these? Are they worth more than the land they're sitting on? And you know, how long will they sit there and what will happen? Vintage
antique office.
They call them obsolete office stock.
Obsolete office stock. So there's a lot of it and it's empty. That's the problem. But the new stuff is actually getting filled up. There's not a significant vacancy problem in the new office buildings?
No, the vacancy in like offices built since 2012 is like 1/3 of the overall vacancy rate. It's a much lower vacancy rate in those buildings.
And how did you decide to get involved in commercial real estate? Did you study journalism, or how did you mix the two? Why pick commercial real estate as a career?
Yeah, so I studied journalism, and I formerly worked at a daily newspaper doing general reporting. So I did all kinds of reporting, and I did learn a little bit about business reporting there. But the way I ended up working for Bisnow was honestly just seeing the job posting on LinkedIn, and I was looking for a reporting job, and I interviewed, and I ended up really liking it, and it's worked out.
Great. And you're originally from Houston?
I was born in Mississippi, but my family moved to Houston when I was in middle school, or we moved to Cypress specifically. Okay,
great. So you grew up here in Houston, you're covering the Houston commercial market. And any tips for anybody coming in to buy commercial real estate in Houston today?
Yeah, I mean, Houston is great. Like we talked about at the conference, there's land here, and that's not true of everywhere. So there are development opportunities. There's population increases. So retail is doing great, especially in the inner loop. And I think it's just a great place to be for businesses and for people. Okay, well, Maddy, thank you for joining us here on the Uri Man Show. It's been great to see you, and looking forward to reading all the new articles that you're working on. Thank you. Thanks.
Big news! Lagoon Fest Texas is coming to Houston again this summer. Lagoon Fest Texas is the largest summer beach event in the Houston area and will bring hundreds of thousands of happy families to Lago Mar. Experience the white sand beaches and crystal clear water that surround the 12-acre Crystal Lagoon. Last year's Lagoon Fest Texas was a huge success that drew over 150,000 visitors from all over the U.S. And this year's summer event will be even bigger and better with bigger beaches, more bars, more concerts, and more fun. All eyes will be on Lagoon Fest Texas this summer, and sponsorships are available now. You have a special opportunity to put your company's name and logo in front of hundreds of thousands of happy beachgoers. Naming rights nights, strategic logo placement in and around the venue, along with exclusive marketing access to a captive audience, will be included in your sponsorship. This is a great opportunity to be a part of Houston's largest summer event. Please visit LagoonFestTexas.com to learn more about this incredible event.